Yeah, I think he's gonna get killed.
One of these two got promoted way further than the other one did.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna get killed.
Nah, my boy is immortal, just like my other boy. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Gundam Seed Destiny. Before anything else though, we have a comment. Heather from the Patreon, from the episode Warning Shots. Sorry, I think I confused you with my comments. The M1 Astray is Orb's mass-produced mobile suit, and Orb managed to get them built from recovering data from a scavenger who went to Heliopolis when it got destroyed, which Astray would cover. He was the red segment in Astray. The Alliance suits, which include the 3 Gundams and things like the Blitz Tech, were gotten from the Archangel when it reached Alaska. They already had some info before, since the mass production types were made from strike and dual data received during production, which Astray also shows with some with some custom one-off suits.
What intricate web we weave.
Well, there was a whole subplot in the episodes that I don't think were in the movie, where well, for one thing, Rao goes to like a market and like exchanges data with somebody. But then there's the whole subplot of also why Atherin is there, which is to get like a key card or something. Well, I have linked you the board. Are you on the board?
Let me see the board.
I've tried to be more organizational when it comes to the new stuff, which is to say, oh wow, even mine are blurry. Which is to say, I'm trying to follow the guidelines of the grid.
This is the first time I noticed they put Seed under Seed Destiny. I would think that Seed would be on top and then Destiny down, but I guess
Why?
not. Because it's, one follows the other. You've done it with Macross, so I thought it was like...
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, based on what you just said previously, you've done it this way. But I guess in this sense, I just felt like we were building on top of... Actually, no, it's because the civilians are down here on the bottom. Because I put the civilians down here on the bottom on the original, this whole remake thing, I could only build up unless I remove the whole civilian chart. Not that this matters anyway, this is just the civilians of Seed. Obviously, I think civilians from Seed Destiny are up here in Seed Destiny. I'm just completely doing it. This is just a completely different way.
Miller got killed, because I have stuff in my notes, and I think it's covered by this, so a couple of things we used the board. There were not a lot of casualties, really. The last fights.
You're talking about 4 people died.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, Sean. Who the hell is Sean? Sean is dead. Who the hell is Sean? Oh, he's dead. Who cares?
Sean, Miller. Who fuck else?
Put Miller here.
Oh, because Miller got a face. Well, it was John and Miller, I believe, on whoever these people are.
Yeah,
and it was Sean and... God, who the fuck was it? Sean and somebody. I specifically remember Sean because they, in the subtitles, they spell it SHAWN. And on the monitor in the background, it says SEAN. So I'm like, who the fuck is Sean?
Sean is dead, baby.
Well, I can't remember the other person. It's John and Miller, I believe, are the ones who died on those people's side, and it's Sean and somebody else in zaft, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Two zaft guys, and I like now I see Miller. It's like Ray went out of his way to kill him. Like Neo was there. He was fighting Neo. It's like, no, I'm going to kill this particular motherfucker. He's not going to get away. Like, okay. He's like, no.
Again, there was two guys with Neo that died, so...
2 for 2. 2 NPCs and 2 other NPCs.
All right, well, I guess if you don't have much to say about the board.
Not really.
Okay. Well, then I guess we get into the notes. Because at the end of the day, the board stuff is just for me.
This one is. I'll start with the notes. Chapter 3, warning shots. This was what this wasn't a 3 a.m. Thought, but it felt like a 3 a.m. morning thought. So I'm going to throw it. You would think, considering what happened the last time, a masked man was given any authority, that you would not want someone with the same mask anywhere near your organization. But apparently, whoever Neo happens to be, that's not a problem for them.
I think here's the problem, is you're attributing one thing to another, and the attribution itself isn't even really make sense. Rao was the masked man who worked for Zaft. Neo does not work for Zaft. The Earth Alliance, if he even works for the Earth Alliance, still not sure about that. Whoever he works for has not previously had a problem with a masked man. Also, Rao never was a problem for anybody.
Until the very end.
No, he didn't do anything at the very end. Literally, Patrick says, go out there and fight. And he goes, okay. And goes out there and fights. He does what he's told to do. I know that we know from the outside that he gave the information to allow for the nukes to be used and everything like that. Nobody in the universe knows. From in-universe perspective, Rao was a great soldier. So that's what I'm saying. There's no problem with people wearing masks.
Yeah, it would be sarcastic. Like I said, it's at 3 a.m. in the morning.
You thought you said it wasn't a 3 a.m. in the morning thought.
I mean, I didn't write it at 3 a.m., but it has the feeling of a 3 a.m.
Okay. Well, unlike you, I don't separate my thoughts by the episodes. So, I mean, I try to write them in order. Like, obviously, if I'm watching an episode, and I'll write it in the episode, but I haven't segmented them out like you have. But I will say I haven't written any 2 a.m. thoughts this time either. I did mine at 8 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and then the next episode I did at 10 a.m. this morning. So, first one though, we had a disagreement last recording when I did a breakdown of the opening, specifically in a scene where I said we had a naked Kira and Kigali, and you pointed out that you thought that might be Shin and Stella. I think you were right. Pausing the opening to look, everyone suffers from same face syndrome, but the guy in that shot has brown eyes like Shin does, whereas Kira has purple eyes. The girl has purplish eyes like Stella, whereas Kigali has brown eyes.
I mean, it could. Also, I think they're trying to set it up again, a mirror of the couples from the first season, right? That these two people are from different. They're enemies, right? They're more because then you wish on Arthur and Kagali.
I mean, it's not really a mirror either way, because Kira didn't wind up with Kigali. I mean, a mirror at the best. Well, yeah, but he doesn't look like Athrun. He looks like Kira.
Yeah, no, but it's not the mirror. The mirror in the sense of
it's a mirror in the sense that they look alike. That's it.
More about mirror the situation. Like Kigali and Athrun were ostensibly enemies, right? And we had that whole scene in the movie, and I'm sure it's even longer in the episodes where they're fight. One is taken prisoner by the other. And it's like, oh, you gotta let me go, and you're gonna shoot me, and the whole thing, right? And I think, and from the very beginning, when they meet in the street, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, and he gropes her. He doesn't want to, but he did grope her, and it's like, oh, and then they're fighting. It's like, this guy, she's always complaining about that particular area. Like, this guy won't leave me alone, right? So it's like, I think that's what they're setting up, right? Now they're enemies.
Sorry, you were describing when she meets Athrun, which would be during the fight. I'm assuming is what you're talking about.
No. Shin, I'm talking about Shin and Stella.
And Stella. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I'm going back to the whole mirror thing. So I'm thinking of Kigali and Kira when they were going out to have food and shop when the Waltfield town. And I'm like, he didn't grope her. What the fuck are we talking about? I am lost. He's like, no, yeah, I'm thinking about the wrong
keeping it in
stuff.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking it here. I'm
It's
trying
like,
to keep it as
that's
simple
not
as
even
possible.
where they met. What are we?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The whole mirror thing has gotten me confused. But I was going to say, the only thing that doesn't line up there is that we don't know anything about Stella. But then I was just saying, actually, I have whole notes that I think we do actually know a whole hell of a lot about Stella. So, anyway, that was my thought. You're next.
I'm next. Okay. If Rao was a clone of Mula Flaga, and this is more a theory than it's a thought, but it's more theory. Then it follows that Neo is a clone of Rey that doesn't know it's a clone, or perhaps it is Rey who is the clone this time. Although they don't have the same voice, or at least Neo's is deeper than Rey's. Because they're the two characters that.
Here's the thing: I want to combine my next thought with this one because I think we're lining up literally on where we've written these things out. So beyond whatever seed itself is, I guess we now have telepathy as a possible power. In the first season, Rao and Mu got flashes that let each other know when the other was in the area, but it was never shown as anything concrete. Now we have the same flash with Neo and Rey, except Neo is hearing Rey speak partially. I can only assume that we are doing the clone thing again, and this is just what clones do in the Seed universe.
Yeah. The question is...
That was funny that we both wrote our second thoughts about Neo and Rey.
Yeah.
Clones!
I mean,
we look alike, right? This is like the movie Twins. Exactly.
They're both blonde. At least we know that much about Neo, right?
Well, yeah, because he's got coming out the helmet. Sorry, I'm looking this way at the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Rey is blonde.
Again, doing the whole reverse mirror thing, Mu was flying the mobile arm / fighter.
Mobius Zero.
Yeah, Mobius Zero. And Rao was the...
something... I'm sorry, say Rao. I was going to say Neo is doing something EX.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in this side, it's Neo doing the EX, and it's Rey who's doing the Saku.
Well, to be fair, I mean... Sorry, I forgot who are we lining them up with?
Rao, Mula Flaga, Neo, Rey.
No. That was the original clone set.
Exactly. That's what they were arguing. That
who's the mirror for? Who are you mirroring? Who are you mirroring to? Are you saying that Rey is Mu?
Well,
in the mirror,
actually, it's cross.
Neo
it's like a crossover.
Mu?
Right? Neo is Rao and Rey is Mu.
Because if you remember, Rao piloted mobile suits.
At the beginning, he didn't.
No, he did.
A fighter.
Mu is the one that piloted a fighter in the beginning.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's
what I'm saying. You said Neo is Rao. Neo is Rao in the mirror, and I'm saying Rao only piloted mobile suits. Mu is the one that piloted a fighter like Neo does.
I know. So they're mixing them. They're mirroring and then mirroring again because they flip.
Well, I'm saying I don't understand why you're saying that they're mirroring and then mirroring again. I don't get that part.
I'm talking about also, I guess, sides again, because this time around, Rao was in zaft, and Neo apparently is in Alliance.
Don't know.
Could be.
That's why I have them. If you look at the board, I don't know if you're even still on the board. If you look at the board, I put them still in the unknown territory.
Yeah. Or at least an enemy of zaft. Let's put it that way. And in the original, the original being the first season, not the original Gundam, because that's different. We have actually I should have said it right. Rao as member of zaft and Mula Flaga as a member of the Federation.
Alliance.
So now it's fully reversed. Like they not only reversed who's where and what they're doing, but also what they're flying.
Well, no, like my point was I don't get why you're aligning Rao with Neo specifically.
I think thematically they're supposed to be the masked men, right? That's what we
the mask? Is that what you're going for? I thought for a moment you were going to go with Rao was older Well, Rao wasn't actually older than Mu. Never mind.
No, he had to take drugs and obviously he wouldn't age.
Yeah, so I was going to say, he wasn't actually older. He just aged up. He was the Robin Williams movie thing.
Yeah.
Either way, we both jumped on the clone thing, but my point was more about telepathy.
Yeah.
Than the
I didn't mention
thing.
the fact that I
thought it was very, like, because the first season we didn't do the, I can hear you talking, you know? We literally get Neo going, hearing Rey talk, and like, what the fuck is...
But he doesn't, and that's one point, that they don't recognize each other. Or at least Neo doesn't recognize Rey's voice. So unlike Rao and Mulaflaga,
well, they only got the Flash thing. They never even heard each other.
First of all, they knew each other as children, ever so briefly. And also Rao knew about who he was eventually.
They knew each other as children, but not knew each other. Like, Rao had to go, we knew each other as kids. Let me tell you, because you wouldn't know.
So, but the thing is that Rao knew where he came from, who he was, where he came from. Mulaflaga had no idea. Now, it could be, now again, reversed, where Rey might know who he is, because he always has these knowing glances with the chairman. Right.
I mean, I've got a whole notes about that, but
he has a knowing, like,
just to clarify, Mu knew his own past. Mu didn't know Rao's past.
Oh, well, he didn't know about the whole clone thing, right?
He was a natural child who grew up in a natural child household. That's what I'm saying. He knew his own past. He didn't know what his dad was up to with this other thing.
Yeah, so I think Rey might have some inkling of what's going on, while Neo might not know.
Well, I guess it's left open to that, I guess, in that...
Because otherwise
Neo
he wouldn't be surprised
Rey
about...
but Rey has no idea that Neo heard him talking, so...
Yeah, so... And he's like, who is the... He doesn't recognize the voice, meaning he might not know that they might be a clone of him, or they're both clones from the same person.
Well, they're both confused by the Flash thing, either way.
Yeah.
But then again, so was Rao and Mu. Like, Rao knew that he had a clone, or he was a clone of somebody, but he still got like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So there's that.
Well, that was both of our comments, so both of our notes, so yes, back to your next one.
Okay, let's go back into the start. Back again. Number 3. The use of detachable fuel tanks appears to indicate that this ship, the enemy ship we don't have a name for, well, again, this is another mirror. It kind of reminds me of, the original series where they kept calling the, not the Archangel. It's the Archangel class, but not the name.
No, Archangel's in this one.
Yeah, it's, damn it, I forgot.
White base on Trojan Horse.
Yeah, they keep trailing Trojan Horse because they should know the name, but they just keep telling. They used the term Trojan Horse because it was a code name, and they kept using the term Trojan Horse.
Well, currently, here, it's Bogey 1.
Yeah, Bogey 1. So, but that's a simple identification. So it's not it could be Bogey 1, Bogey 2, Bogey 3. So
yeah, the whole thing Durandal keeps putting out when he's poking at Atherin.
Yeah.
It's funny that we don't know what his name is. A name gives meaning. I mean, it's meaningless what we're calling it. Kind of like, you go to the whole true name system.
Yeah, the use of detachable fuel tanks appears to indicate that this ship came from farther afield than the Earth-Moon orbit, since other ships have no need for extra tankage. So I'm getting that at least as I understand it, I could be wrong, right? But I feel that these guys are not from either the Earth or the Moon or anything in between. They might be going for farther afield.
I don't know what it indicates because the base from last season, where we had the big old fight with Mu and Rao and everything, not the Janshin Du, the big super weapon, the place the cloning and everything was being done, was, as we were told, the furthest base location out, and we didn't need fuel pods to get there. So.
I would say that there has to be either farther afield or they're being out there far longer.
Yeah, but maybe they needed extended, like not so much a distance, but a lack of resupply.
Yeah, it could be endurance as well, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That they're not in a position that they can get resupplied from anywhere, so that they are outfitted to just be able to be out for longer periods.
So that's my thought on that. It was like, and there's a whole strategy with dropping the tanks they do later on. So
I get why the Minerva would have a bridge that changes places during combat. The same reason why White Base has blast shutters and airlocks. I just think shutters and airlocks make a lot more sense than this massive moving platform. I can just imagine the ship getting rocked with enemy fire while they're moving and the entire apparatus getting knocked off its track or disabled. Suddenly, the entire bridge crew is isolated from command. It's a case of adding too many moving parts to a system that already works fine.
I mean, yes, I agree with that totally. I think the bridge, okay, they should be, I said it before, it should be two bridges. One should be like a navigation bridge, like when they're docking or something like that, they need to, visually or launching things like, oh, we're launching, we need to see the launching mechs. Let me finish, because it does happen.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm arguing in that Sorry, you told me not to interrupt. I'm already interrupting, and while I'm already interrupting, the mobile suit system, right? You're down here, but your sensor platform is up here, and that's already fine. We already do that. We don't need you to have visuals when you already have a whole. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, when I saw a navigation bridge, usually you still, for example, want to see that the area that it's launching, it's clear. If you're docking with something like a space station, again, you want to have eyes on it. Even though you have all these systems, it's always good to have somebody going like, "Oh shit, the system didn't detect that." Do something, right? But that's just like a handful of people, like 2 or 3 people out there, right? And a combat bridge, or what's called CIC, Command Information Center, will be deeper in the ship, like in actual warships today. Like you have a bridge where you sail the ship, and then you have the command center where you fight the ship, right? So the idea of having it's the rule of cool, right? Oh, well, they have this moving bridge, and you have all this sequence, right?
I would also point out that they do leave people on each bridge when they move up and down, so there are already the people there on that bridge. Just call it, like a cruise liner when you have the winged bridge thing, so you can see out the insides. Those people are already there. I mean, you know what? You know what you need to do? Just have a hallway with an airlock, or just a what do you call it? Like a hatch. If you need to go from one bridge to the other, just a sealed hatch that protects one from the other. Not a whole system that oh fuck, we're stuck between bridges.
Yeah.
Everything okay up there?
Because the idea is that, as often happens in this show, some mobile suit moves in and points a gun at the bridge and goes like, "You're dead," and kills everybody.
Oh yeah, thank God this thing moves at the speed of this. So that'll quick lower the bridge.
That's the idea, but it's unnecessary. Kind of like I said that.
It's bad engineering, is what I'm saying. It's you have a system that works, and you're like, let's add a bunch more parts, and every part you add is a part that can fail. So every little thing is an extra failure to the system.
I mean, it's rule of cool and rule of
it's not cool though.
Genre. It's a genre convention, right? You got to have the sequence where people are like, "We're going to battle. Activate that. Let's move in." Da, da, da. Like that's been around since 1970s.
My conceit to this is Star Trek, right? TNG, the battle bridge. But you know what? We fucking go to the battle bridge. We don't. Like, even if they just teleported there or something, But no.
Yeah.
Data, you and Jordy go to the battle bridge. All right. Walks to the turbo lift.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was mine.
I know we discussed it before, but this is a short note. I'm still wondering why Neo Ships didn't use its cloaking tech to break pursuit, right? I'm like, if it worked so well to get to this point, why not use it again? At least try it, right?
I'd have to imagine it's because they used it once already. It was probably a one-off trick. Because remember, Zaft had that technology first. Well, I guess Orb had the technology first, and then Zaft had the technology, so
yeah,
they're attacking Zaft, and now Zaft knows that they're out there. They would know what to look for.
yeah, but at least you would have somebody say, "Oh, try the cloaking device." No, it's not gonna work. Okay, cool.
I just don't see that as necessary. I mean, we watched the episode, and while I was watching, I was like, "Oh, that's a cool trick." I was down for what they were doing already, so the fact that they didn't do that was no. I understand what you're saying. I just don't think it was necessary because maybe it's my contrarian nature, but I can already see where it wouldn't work, and because like if they're doing we're gonna put a false signal out here, so they're gonna be lured to it, and we're gonna hide. Doing an extra thing that they might be looking for might give them a way to find you.
But I just means the moment they started running, it's like activate the cloak, just disappeared. Not even
I think
go to
they've been
the
fighting the entire time. Well, no,
no,
there was that period where we had all the people talking, where they were just following them.
Yeah.
But so they were like, there was nothing literally that they were doing. They were just like, they're right there. They're right there. You know? Yeah. So you would have cloaked and have been like, all right, well, we know how the cloaks work. They're still right there.
Or maybe the cloak, you use the cloak as you're getting into the debris field, right? And
that is the moment that they do the thing, right?
Yeah.
Is when they get into the debris field. So that's when they're...
Yeah, it's more like, oh, we're in the debris field. Okay, set up a decoy, cloak this way, we go that way, and that's it. They fall for the cloak, they send people out. Oh, it's a decoy. Oh, shit, they left.
Again, it's the fact that they already know how the cloak works because they had the tech before these guys did. So for me, it's the whole Romulan cloak thing in Star Trek. I know I already pulled a TNG, but once we know, like, once we've met the Romulans again, it's like, oh, the cloak puts out this sort of radiation, so if we do our sensor this, we'll know where they're at. You know, it's the same reason I keep bringing up Minovsky particles in the other Gundam thing. It's like, sure, but the presence of Minovsky particles means that something is here. Minovsky particles don't exist in nature. So
yeah, which they have actually used. Like, oh yeah, no, we have incoming because we have a high count of Minovsky particles, right?
Right, so the same thing with the cloak. I just assume that if they were to cloak, they would be tracked, or they would know, or think it's too much of risk versus going, I guess, whatever their silent running is, where we slingshot around and I guess be real quiet.
Yeah.
On a careful rewatch, when we see Stella/Owl and Sting on the other ship, while Stella seems to be in a freak-out mode from before, Sting and Owl are doing short gasps of air, like they are in distress, making me wonder if they are like Clotho, Shiani, and Orga from before. I want to apologize ahead of time. I meant to rewrite this one, because I wrote this one and then kept adding information from the episodes. Where the originals suffered obvious pain once they were done in the Gundams, these new guys are clearly going through something, just less so. So maybe upgraded versions? Less downside than before, maybe. After the chase, they then go in glowing pods that have no clear purpose. The readout says physical condition monitor. It could be that these three are being cared for, whereas Asriel only punished the other three. The conversation Neo and Ian have after suggests that they are a new breed of pilot, created or modified in the lab. Neo even says that they are better than the last batch, which I guess shows that they've learned some lessons, given how uncontrollable the other three could be, and gave these three control words.
Yeah, that's my number 6, so I guess...
I also didn't number these.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wrote this one, I think, during episode 3, and then added a bunch of notes to the end after the very end of episode 4, and it was like, oh, I'll rewrite this later to be more coherent, and then just forgot to do so. So yeah, that's what I meant when I said, oh, we actually kind of know a lot about Stella, if she is like those created pilots. Which is to say she's completely artificial, apparently under the purview of a lab that takes care of them. We saw Neo, like, watching over them in their little pod things. they go through like withdrawals apparently still, like the other three did. They're considered a batch.
I'll go to my then, because it's about them, but it's about a slightly different thing. If Stella has a block word, does that mean that the other two also have them, and that each one of them knows said command words? Because at first I thought in the second episode, he was just mentioning something that would affect her, but it's clearly told it's a block word, so like a command word, and they know it.
Yeah, no, they said that they found it disturbing that one of them used it on the other one.
Which means perhaps Stella, each one of them knows the block words for each one of them, right?
Well, if you don't remember, Clotho and gang were kind of uncontrollable in the fight, and then would go off and start fighting one another, and etc. So, clearly they've been given block words to make them more malleable, or to shut them down. I don't know if the other ones know the other one's block words. They might have just found Stella's block word and be like, ha, this is fun.
Or that's why they find it disturbing that Neo says, oh, they know, as opposed to they used it.
Well, he says he finds it disturbing that they used it. So there's no implication to say that he finds it disturbing that they know it. Like, it's no benefit of theirs to know each other's block word other than to torture one another.
I mean, they did use it to stop attacking the impulse, so they would get away. So it actually was useful.
Yeah, but it kind of shuts her down. Like, she didn't do anything after that. Like, at worst, at best and worst, it shuts down a teammate in the middle of combat. Plus, don't do that over open comms, because they're communicating on open communications. So you get one of those before, conceivably, the enemy side could be listening and do the tank thing that we discussed from Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yeah.
Alright, next up. I appreciate that Durandal says that the goal is to capture the stolen Gundams, but to destroy them should they find themselves unable to. In the first season, and Mobile Suit Gundam 79 as well, the order is always to capture them first, and then we have to go through this long series of failures before the higher-ups change the order to destruction. Now we have a variable command that can change based on opportunity.
I mean, yeah, it should be. I mean, the overall goal has always been to stop them one way or the other. In fact, there's a point where Drundle is talking to the captain, and it's like, well, what were you doing, etc. It's like, yeah, we stopped them by destroying their mothership. They can't, they have limited power. So once, mothership is done, they won't be able to recharge, basically. That was he didn't say as much, but it's like,
well, no,
yeah,
it was,
I'm going to stop them.
Talia? Talia, her name?
Yeah, Talia.
Talia says that we're going to drive them away, and that's what'll save everybody else. Because if they're running away, then they're not going to be able to fight.
Yeah, but the idea ultimately would be that if they don't have a mothership, they can't recharge. They'll run out of power.
Well, the recharge thing only comes up from Neo. Neo and Ian. Neo and Ian are the ones that are talking about recharge. The Talia and Durandal never talk about the enemy having to recharge.
Yeah, but remember, they know those suits they made those suits, so they know their capability.
Yeah, I'm not implying that they don't know anything about it. I'm just saying that they never discuss the enemy having to recharge. Neo and Ian are like, well, we're going to have to make a run for it, especially with Gaia and Chaos needing or running out of power soon. No, I think the charging conversation does happen between Talia and Durandal, but they're talking about the Impulse and the Zaku.
Yeah. So I'm next, right? Little note, I skipped number 6 because basically we talked about it. I talk about Blue Cosmos, but again, not much makes no sense. So something I noticed near the end is like funny that Arthur can't help but salute back at the SAF crewman that salutes the chairman because they're walking I think from the bridge. I think it is, and so, a crewman
Are you
steps up
still
and
in your
salutes.
episode 3 notes, or you're in your episode 4 notes?
3 notes. That's my last read.
So that he was getting
a tour.
a tour of the ship by Durandal in
Yeah.
the chase portion before they got back up.
And so the crew member salutes, and Arthur is like salutes as well. Like, gotcha.
Well, he's he's the bodyguard of a representative of a.
Yeah, but you're not okay. The salute doesn't come from the fact that he's a bodyguard. It's a reflex from when he was part of the military.
I'm sure that's a interpretation. I don't know. It's
I mean,
not something that I read into. I literally don't even remember it happening. So
yeah,
you're doing like a psychological investigation on Athrun, and I just like didn't notice.
So I think that's it's another. It's very obvious that and that's going to tie it to something I'm going to talk about later.
See, if you had brought this up during the reaction, I would have paid attention during the note-taking rewatch to see what the expression on his face was when he did it. To see if he like made like an eye gesture or oh shit, what am I doing kind of move. But it didn't register with me whatsoever that it was a thing.
I only noticed when I was doing my rewatch, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so that's my last note on episode 3.
All right. I feel like, despite the fact that the crew is wearing Earth Alliance uniforms, that these are a different faction. Neo talking about everything being in trial stages references the world as one of those things and says that they will be the ones in charge. It just feels like that is something an upstart faction would say, not one of the two superpowers.
True. And you wouldn't be doing peace negotiations and then try to essentially committing an act of war at the same time. Kind of defeats itself.
It depends on like maybe a sub-faction of everything, but I don't know. Like I said, the fact that he says the world is in a trial stage and we'll be the ones in charge, it just doesn't read as Earth Alliance.
So, okay, now I'm chapter 4 and I only have like 3 notes for this. If I was, this again, a theory of mine. If I would hazard a guess, the chairman expected another war and wants Orb on their side, which is why he's pressing Cagalli and Arthur about Arthur's real identity, as well as his smug smiles. And there's well, I'm gonna leave it there because there's more to it, but that's a note. Because the chairman constantly is going like,
Oh, I know. I very specifically have a note about the chairman. Well, actually, I have a note about Ray that involves the chairman, but
that too.
Sorry, you said you only had like 3 or 4 more. I'm like,
3.
Oh, that's about as many as I do, and then I scroll down. So, oh no, wait, I have a ton more to go. Yeah, I don't know. My only issue with that is the fact that Cagalli is the one who came here unofficially. He didn't summon her, so.
I mean, he's a politician. And he's taking advantage of the opportunity. Like, he was surprised that they were aboard the ship, but now that they're here, it's like, I see an opportunity.
Yeah, no. I mean, I have thought
everything has to be pre-planned. Yeah,
I have thought that a lot of this could have been planned because I had been suspecting Durandal a little bit, and it seems like a lot of this could be Xanatos Gambit sort of shit, like that he planned everything to happen, and he may have also planned Cagalli and Athrun to be here. So it's like. But do I want, like, people have said, me specifically, will probably like Gundam Seed Destiny, but a lot of people have had problems with it, especially the further on it goes, and I'm like, what are elements that people might have problems with? And if it's like the big bad starts pulling Xanatos Gambits, then, especially because Season 1 was just like normal people falling into shit. Like, Patrick didn't Xanatos Gambit the whole thing. It's just like shit just kept escalating, and he escalated with it.
Yeah.
All right. My next one's another complaint about the Minerva. So the Minerva's main feature is the Impulse's launch system, meaning it was designed to launch all those individual Gundam parts out, which seems highly inefficient. Which, by the way, is funny because they literally say that this is the most efficient thing that they've ever done.
Yeah.
It's got this massive hangar bay. It just seems like it would be easier to house a number of specialized Gundams that are fully assembled, rather than one that is in pieces with specialized equipment that could fall apart in a battle. Essentially, my problem is just the same as the one I had with the bridge. Any individual system failing could prevent the impulse from assembling itself during a fight. It's cool to look at, but way too vulnerable to break down.
Which is what I said in the we talk about the impulse in the first episodes. Like, yeah, looks cool, but it's
in this
needlessly
case,
complicated.
my argument's not about the impulse. It's about the ship being designed around the impulse. Because it's literally, if you remember Sound Force from Across 7, how they have the individual launch platforms for the hookup things for the Sound Force, Gundams and mobile suits. What if that part of the ship got attacked? Except in this case, it's like 3 different launch systems all in one, and then a bonus one for any of the platforms that the Impulse needs. Any one of those gets taken out, you have like half of a mobile suit just floating around out there.
I mean, technically, you have their version of the core fighter, and that's it.
Well, no, I'm talking about if like any say he what is it called? Not Prestige. So I can forget the name. The core fighter has a name. He calls it out every time he launches. But there, imagine that launches, and then what? You got the top half of the Gundam and maybe the backpack, and everything else gets taken out.
Yeah.
Number one thing that gets hit in these shows is the hangar. Oh, we can't launch the gun. Didn't that happen in this one? Oh yeah, Ray. When they want to launch Ray in episode 4, the platform, the catapult isn't working. We'll walk him out if you have to. It's like, well, what happens when half of the Gundam's already out there and this thing's supposed to be automated? Is it programmed to walk off the ship and fly to him? Is this the Iron Giant situation where every little bit will start making its way to the other half of the Gundam?
Yeah, I think it would be more of Impulse be just fully assembled, and then have extra parts you can throw at them.
Yeah,
so
like
you already
Zoid.
have a gun. Yeah, they have a Gundam, and we need to beef them up. Okay, you send that extra part.
This is legit a scenario where Zoids does it better.
Yeah,
where you've just got the thing and a whole round thing to okay, which thing do we need? Launch it in.
Yeah.
Or what I said, just have a specialized Gundam for whatever you don't even have the Impulse with this whole thing. Just have whatever, the first 5 Gundams from the original Gundam seed, or each one was a special thing. So he just, okay, what do we need? Stealth mission? Shin runs over to Stealth Gundam.
Yeah, but that seems like, okay, you just have, I guess you always have spares, but the idea of having these modules is to make the original Gundam be more flexible, right? So you can have a Gundam that can do everything as opposed to having 5 different types of
Okay, but again, the thing is that you have a whole ship dedicated to specializing one Gundam, and then you've got a bunch of other shit in the hangar, and it's like, okay, but you could just, have a bunch of specialty Gundams, and then launch those on the specialty mission if you need, and then you could back them up with the other ones that aren't as good on the mission, but could still do shit.
I mean, the 3 Gundams that got stolen were like that. One can transform into a cat thing, and the other one I think one actually has a cloak. I'm not really sure.
No, there's no cloaking Gundam this time. What is it? Shields? Yeah, shields. It's either that or I'm remember because I did go back and rewatch one of the original episodes to look at Clotho and them again. So I might be remembering Shield Guy from last time. I think Green one has. Actually, hold on. Can zoom in. Nope, no, I ain't because I fucking bored fucking up. No, yeah, Stella has the transforming one because I remember the dark one transforms. Yeah, he's got 2 giant shield things on his shoulders that are also guns.
Yeah.
Owl does. And hold on,
and I think the third one is the one that has the cylinders that shoot independently.
They've got rockets. I mean, not rocket like rocket propulsion. I don't know what they do. Yeah. For all I know, the third one is just green.
Yeah,
like his hair.
I think those are designed to be super souped up drones too, attack individually.
I don't remember. Anyway, that's my other problem with Minerva.
Yeah, running on a rule of cool. Okay, it's a little subtitle note, but I also mention sometimes the subtitles don't get things right. this is when Marion sees his sister. Although the subtitles say Luna Maria, when Marion calls out her goes out to her, she's saying big sister in Japanese. But sometimes like, the subtitles are like, Chin, Luna Maria, and Ray, and it's like, no, it's Chin, Ray, and big sister, right? That's what we, confirmed that they are sisters. They're not just,
Yeah,
they
no,
could be.
I had a subtitle versus dub note, but I deleted it because I didn't think it was worthwhile. Basically, when Shin walks in on the end of the episode 4 with Luna Maria talking to Athrun, and he goes, I can't, since I deleted it, it's hard to remember. The subtitle is basically, what do we care about people from Orb? But I think in the dub, he says something about people living in Orb. The difference of being from a place and living there, because we know Athrun's not from Orb. Athrun is from here. So,
and that Chin was born in Orb, comes from Orb.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, it follows through with Shin's whole problem, but yeah. So, I mean, I'm down for complaints against the subtitle stuff, but like you said, I thought that was a bit too pedantic. Even though I wrote it out, and I'm like, this is just, who the fuck cares?
I mean, it's sort of, it's a minor note, but it is important of their relationship, right? As opposed to like, oh, this is just a friend of mine. Oh, Luna Maria, she's like a friend of mine. As opposed to like, no, this is my sister, and I was worried about her. Like, I'm excited to see her again because I was worried about her, right? That emotional resonance of like, oh yeah, that girl that I know, her name is Luna Maria. Okay, cool. As opposed to like, no, my sister, she's alive, right? There's a slight difference there.
For that point, I'm gonna skip my next note and go one further beyond Plus Ultra. No, I'm not gonna skip it further. I just want to, kind of a funny note, as we just watched Legends of the Galactic Heroes yesterday and talked about the Sator brothers and their predicament of being posted on the same ship. As their concern was that if that ship went down, they'd both die, and their parents would have to suffer the news of both of their kids being dead. And here we have the Hawk sisters both posted on the same ship together.
Saving Private Hawk, I guess.
Well, if you remember, the Ryans had 3 kids. 4 boys. No, they had 4 boys, didn't they? Because 3 of them died, and then we had to go save the 4th boy to prevent their mother from getting the news all at once.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that was the thing with the Sator brothers, is that they had a family that ran a factory, and the idea was to be that one of them would take over that factory, and the idea was that, they're being kind to us by giving us the same posting. Unfortunately, though, we're both on a ship in space together. If the ship goes down, our parents are going to, live into old age, having to work for the rest of their lives, having both their kids dead. And that was a whole conceit in Legend of Galactic Heroes. And then here, they're just like, sis, you made it. Like, no serious thoughts. Don't need to consider the fact that we're both on the same military spaceship together.
Yeah. And my last note here, because this goes to what I was saying earlier about, Athrun and how he's thinking in the last episode. It seems that Athrun change in name was not merely a ruse to keep his identity secret, but an attempt to leave his old life behind. And that is why he didn't pilot a mobile suit during the battle of the debris field. Like he's, there's a whole thing where he's sort of looking back at all the people that died, and he's like, he's down in the dumps. So it's like, and when Luna Maria says, "Oh, you're Athrun," he says, "No, I'm Alex."
Alex Dino.
Right?
Las Vegas dealer.
So, and that's when, Shin says, "Who cares about anybody from?" It's like,
explains the glasses.
Yeah.
He's a lounge lizard. I mean, I get it. It makes sense to me. It's the whole point of what the last half of the 4th episode was Athrun dealing with the fact that he doesn't want to return to that life. That's why he looks all stressed. We don't have enough pilots is the problem.
Yeah.
Pilots, Alex. We don't have enough pilots.
Get into the game.
Pilots. We don't have enough pilots.
Get him the damn cycles.
What's in the name, by the way? Alex. Yeah. Pilots.
Yeah, that's it. Get in the damn tackle, Arthur.
Yeah, well, he avoids it.
Yeah. Oh, although it's not getting the damn Gundam, Shinji. It's Shinji. It's a volunteer, so he doesn't have that problem.
Sorry, Shin is getting the Gundam.
Yeah.
That was your last note?
Basically, yeah.
No, I got a bunch more to go through then. Have to disagree with Kigali on her outburst in the hangar. She blames Zaft's strength for the damage it's incurred over the last few episodes. She's essentially victim blaming. Zaft is at fault for owning weapons because someone decided to steal those weapons in order to hurt them with it. Durandal himself makes the point that is no reason to remain powerless. And I'd have to agree. If someone was out to hurt you and you didn't have any weapons at all, sure, they wouldn't have anything to steal from you to hurt you with, but that wouldn't have stopped them from just the same thing happening with weapons that they'd bring themselves. I mean, I get where she's coming from. Season 1 was basically a show of what having too much power can do to either side, but leaving yourself defenseless is just foolish.
I agree.
Yeah, I remember the Zank Kingdom is always my go-to for that. The bunch of pacifists who have a defensive military because being defensive is just dumb. This is probably the first note that I actually wrote down. The peace treaty was forged amidst the ruins of Janus 7, according to the narrator, and we see a shot of a marker reading, "We shall never forget these lives lost here. We swear that we shall go forward hand in hand towards peace. March 10th, 72 CE." Sorry, I forgot what the CE stood for. Century. Sorry, my first note, CE, Cosmic Era. My first note from way back when. So it feels all that much more like a statement that a chunk of Janus 7 would then be used as a weapon, hurled towards Earth. I'd have to go so far as to assume that it would be the chunk that the peace treaty was forged on, or the piece that had the symbol of the treaty on it. Devastate the world with the very symbol of peace, as a reminder of the tragedy that Janus 7 had once been.
Yeah. Which begs to, this doesn't look like, unless they're not planning on devastating the entire planet, but sort of making a point.
Well, I think it's not big enough. That's what I was saying at the end of last episode, is that Janus 7 wreckage, it doesn't seem big enough, at least from what we've seen. It doesn't seem like an Island Iffish, because it's also only if part of Island Iffish was used instead of the whole thing. I think it's more of a message.
Yeah. So that...
You want peace?
No.
We'll give you a peace.
Yeah. It doesn't rule out Blue Cosmos. They might be radical enough to...
Well, again, though, Blue Cosmos isn't so much an organization as it is a ideology. So, anybody can be a part of Blue Cosmos.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. It's, the president of the Earth Alliance could be part of Blue Cosmos, but he wouldn't be not unless we're talking KKK, right? He could be the Grand Dragon of Blue Cosmos, but he wouldn't. Yeah. But I think it's more of an ideology at this point. I don't think the guys who are trying to assassinate Wallfield are under command of Azrael. I think they're just we agree. Flay isn't part of Blue Cosmos, but she's saying all the Blue Cosmos shit. That sort of thing.
Or did, because she got flayed.
She can get flayed. That's the one thing Flay didn't get. Apparently, Eileen Canaver is no longer on the council, according to what Durandal appears to be saying. I guess she took over once Patrick was killed, signed a peace treaty, leveled allegations at certain people, and then left. Because remember, apparently she leveled allegations towards Atherin. But I have to wonder if she left due to her own convictions, or if she was forced out. She was one of the council members that sided with Siegel's faction during the war, so if she was forced out, that could have implications for the current council's direction.
And we don't know how much power the chairman truly has. Is he the chairman of the council? Is he the chairman of? I guess he's the chairman of the council.
Yeah, he is basically what Siegel. Again, you didn't see anything of Siegel from the movies. Unfortunately, again, he was the peace guy. He was doing all the peace motion things, and then he gets taken, or I guess he gets elected out. Literally during the show, you would walk by on the streets, and from the character's perspective, you would see Siegel is leader on magazines. So, I know it feels very like, what the fuck? But at the same time, he was the peace guy. He was trying to stop the war by negotiations and everything like that. So it's when Patrick takes over, so I guess there's an election at some point. And that's when the war really kicks into gear.
But I guess because Patrick seemed to be the kind of person that he consolidated power around him, and he would not be easily pushed off. He was the de facto leader. I don't know how much is the chairman power.
Well, I think we've discussed it before. I'm pretty sure it's the Primus inter pares thing that we discussed before. He is the
or someone equals.
Well, no, that's what it means. I'm trying to think of an example. He is the leader of the House, right? House of Representatives, that sort of thing. But he has added authority due to his position as a mouthpiece, but he is still well, I guess technically that doesn't actually work.
I mean, you can have a strong leader of the House and a weak leader of the House, right? So,
well, no, I meant more so that the leader of the House isn't himself a member of the House. He is the conductive member that organizes votes and everything like that, but he is not he's not a voting member of the House, though, is he?
Yes, he is. Yes, the leader of the Senate and the leader of the House, and the minority whip. All of those are members of the House, right? It's just that
when I say members of the House, I mean elected official of the state that they come from, or I guess not state, not municipality. Try to lower the state, higher than municipality.
I mean, it's
district. District was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. They have to have a district, otherwise they couldn't be in Congress.
Okay, well, I thought they were a separate entity.
The president of the Senate is the vice president, which means that technically they are not members of the Senate, therefore not of Congress. But the leader of the House, right, the House congressional committees, and the Senate leader, they are elected officials.
Sorry, I just realized how well this is going to play towards our predominantly Japanese and Philippines audience.
I think the Philippines has a Senate and the Japanese have a Diet.
Right. Well, the thing is that we're specifically talking about the American one, and don't know exactly how theirs works. Probably know exactly about as much as theirs works as ours does, from my perspective.
So,
anyway, again, I still think he is, he has added authority due to being the mouthpiece of the council, but he is still just a member of the council. He probably, he is probably like the same as if the House of Representatives and the president was the same role, in that he has the added authority to do military operations. He gets briefed on things, apparently, that not all of the council gets briefed on, because that's how Patrick was able to dupe everyone about what Operation Split Break actually was, in that he was getting briefings and was able to give orders that the other ones didn't know that he was giving, so that he was then telling them what things were, even though they weren't exactly what he was telling them. Because otherwise, if they were all being given the same information, we're all deliberating on the same things, he kind of would have had a harder time fooling them. Ray says that Gil is aboard the Minerva, so there is no way he'll let them destroy it. It took me a minute to think of who the hell Gil was. Gil must clearly be Gilbert, aka Durandal, implying that these two have a closer relationship than has thus far been shown on screen, considering everyone calls him Durandal or Counselor, and Ray is the only one calling him by a nickname.
Yeah, I thought it was like, well, they could have a romantic relationship, I suppose.
Lessons is a nickname, isn't it? It's not your real name, right? So are we romantically tied? Because I'm calling you Lessons all the time?
No, because the way that he said it when I first heard it was like, oh, it's talking about his, like it's like, oh, Jessica's aboard. I won't let them kill my Jessica. Kind of, that's what it felt like it was. Right?
I think you're only saying that because you're saying a woman's name.
Or a guy's name. Marcus is on board,
Well,
I
guess you could
Marcus.
be a guy named Jessica if you want, but
yeah.
I'm just
Gil
saying that I didn't
too.
imply that he was like romantically tied to him because he said Gil was on board. In the same way that like Kira said, "Oh, they're not going to destroy that ship." Kira, my own name. If Kira had said they can't destroy that ship, Atherin's on board. I don't assume that Atherin is like in a relationship with Kira. It's just his best friend.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of fanfics writers that.
We already had a comment about that.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. I guess in one of the ones that it was me and Justin responding to, because it was during one of the episodes where before we find out that Kigali is Kira's half twin or whatever, me and Justin were going back and forth on who would be a better match for Kira. And I was like, Kigali is a better match than anyone else that we've seen so far. And I guess we must have said something. Probably it was Justin arguing against me because he was against Kigali and Kira. They was probably saying, by that argument, Atherin's a better match for Kira. I assume that's what was said. Somebody made a comment about it, about people like perking up. They keep very specifically showing us a beam hitting the legs of the mobile suits and leaving a burn mark, like a zoom in and hold on it. And it seems very strange to do so. If it was just a one-time thing, I wouldn't think anything of it, but they have focused our attention on it multiple times now, to the point that I cannot help but think it must be something they want us to think about. Maybe it's implying that the phase armor isn't as powerful as it used to be. Maybe the new beam weapons have a type of radiation, that these marks are literally marking the mobile suits in some way. For reference, my thoughts go to Gundam 00, where there was a off-brand version of the Gundam reactors that released deadly radiation that would cause the weapons themselves to prevent any wounds caused from them from being able to be healed. Also, presumably killing the pilots slowly.
Yeah. I said this before and I said it again. It could be that, but I'm just thinking that it's just sort of like, oh, these guys are... It's they're in danger kind of move. Like, they can't be hurt, right? But we're not going to do it in a way that,
Well, why do they keep doing it, though? Like, they keep focusing on it multiple times across multiple episodes.
Yeah. I think did it happen in this last episode?
It was either the last episode or the episode before last. I think they've done it like 3 times now across 4 episodes.
But they didn't do it
because it was Ray's suit.
Yeah.
Very specifically, though, it's always the same shot multiple times. It's either going to be something with the phase armor, or maybe it's going to be a psychological thing. Because I don't remember now, because there's only a theory that's coming to my head in the moment. That maybe it's the same guy doing it every time. Or maybe it was, no, I think it was Stella. But maybe one of them has a thing where they can't shoot somebody. Maybe they're actually winging them every time on purpose. Again, they're showing it to us, and I can't help but think they're showing it to us for a reason. This is anime. In an animated medium, everything that you animate is on purpose. Nothing is on screen for no reason.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just overanalyzing, but Atherin's flashback sequence at the end of last episode, we've lost Sean's machine, they say, and then shows Miguel's death, and then they show Miguel's death and Flay's death, but in between them is the death of a blonde-haired, brown-eyed person that I cannot place. I do not remember them. And my board has no one that looks like them on it. There's a white mobile suit. We see them, the blonde hair, brown eyes. They say something, and then the mask goes full on blood.
Yeah. I think that was from the movie, though.
We both
I do
watched the
remember
movie.
that.
You say,
Yeah, I
that's from
remember
the
that.
movie. Yeah, we both watched it. I still don't remember them.
Yeah, no, I remember the shot, but I don't remember who it was. Though.
Well, remember that my board has everybody that got named in the entire show on it. And they're not there. I mean, I know they're not there because I went back and I looked for a blonde-haired, brown-eyed person on there. So I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's an added scene, or if it's just something I completely forgotten somehow.
I do remember that shot from the movie, but I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember it from the movie. And then we have, then what if that name is not real? And then they show us the death of Mulaflaga, Azrael, and Batgirl, finishing with what would it mean? Would that mean its existence is not real either? Like, why are they specifically showing us those scenes with those combinations of words? We've lost Sean's machine. Sorry, there's a famous quote about something machine, and I can't remember what it is, but it's a jokey quote. So every time I hear "We lost Sean's machine," it's like I can't. It's like the very end of it, like some machine.
Right. It reminds me of Warcraft. It came from behind, but that's
no. It's very specific. Sharky's machine, something like that. There's a joke there. Someone's made that before. It's just rattling around in the back of my head. Anyway, what if the name is not real? And then they show us Moo dying. They show us Azrael and Batgirl dying on the bridge. What would that mean? Its existence is not real?
Flay is also shown in that.
I already covered that.
Yeah. Which
literally,
is weird
I said, we've lost Sean's machine, then Miguel and Flay's death. I already covered that in the previous one.
Some of those deaths I think he wouldn't know about.
Well, you wouldn't know about them. You wouldn't have seen them. Obviously, he wouldn't have the first-person point of view on Flay dying in the not the cockpit, but the transport shuttle. Technically, he wouldn't have seen Miguel die either. Well, yeah, no, he wouldn't have because he wasn't. Well, I can't remember. I don't think he was sent out while Miguel was there because he would have been taking the Gundam back to the. I can't remember the zaft class of ship are called. But he would have taken it back to the ship with Rao on and everything. So Miguel would have died where he wasn't there. Flay would have died where he wasn't there. But he was in the battle. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
I have no idea who the blonde woman is, so no clue. And now, my final thought. I just knew Shin would be holding on to that phone to hear his sister's voice. It's one of those what would be the saddest thing we could do right now things. Clearly Shin is unable to let go of the past and move on in a healthy way, vis-a-vis his outburst at Kigali. He's still bottling everything up until he eventually explodes on someone with it.
Am I the baddie? We're about to find out.
Oh no, he's not. Kira is.
Is he?
Yeah, he killed Shin's family.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, are you saying that, sorry, God, the words just escape me. The damage you cause by accident isn't your fault?
But I don't know if that blast actually came. I mean, we're meant to believe.
I covered this in the third episode, because that's when we covered everything from the first two episodes, that his is the mobile suit literally facing that direction, and it's the one that fires when the explosion happens. We literally get the shot of them looking up at it.
Yeah, but it was to the side. It wasn't like facing them.
No, it was facing them because it was firing at a guy behind them.
Could have been a return fire, but got the family.
No, except that it's him firing when the blast happens. And not for nothing, but he's got all the extra equipment that fires like 17 beams all at once. I don't know why you're wanting to have a debate about this. We've covered it. It is done. Kira killed Shin's family. Yeah. We cover it every opening where Shin is staring down Kira from the background of shots. Shin blames Kira.
Ah, that might be 100% truth. Whether it's Kira's actual fault.
Oh, it's Kira's fault. 100% Kira's fault. But I also covered the transitive nature of blame when I brought this up last time. That who does Shin blame for this? Does he blame Kira? Does he blame I forget. Izumi? Was that his name? Or his daughter because he's dead. And then it turns out he blows up at Kigali a little bit. So, like I said, the transitive nature of blame.
Yeah. I think it might be a little more complex than that. Who's actually at fault? We're probably going to get an episode where it's like they do get the confrontation, and then we get to hear Kira's side going like, no, that's not how it happened. And
well, here's the thing. Obviously, it's more complex, but it's more complex in the way that, you got arrested for accidental homicide. The story is super complex. The actual end tale, though, not so complex. You're going to jail for accidental homicide. You didn't mean to kill that guy, and maybe it wasn't your fault that your brakes went out. But at the end of the day, you were actually behind the wheel, and that makes you legally culpable.
Depending whether it's criminal or tort, but yeah, never mind.
Well, I don't think you get civil homicide. You could probably sue for recompense due to
for wrongful death. Yeah.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be wrongful death and accidental homicide are two different things.
Of course they are.
I guess that's everything. Let's go ahead and head on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, I didn't know we were watching Berserk today.
That would be an entirely different show. Oh, not really. They're both pretty bloody.
Oh, I can't wait for Mobile Suit Gundam to do this. All the explosives that we've gotten in Mobile Suit Gundam, now Gundam-sized explosives.
I don't think those are explosives. No, they're not.
I don't know what they're connected to. Oh, they're just pillars with rockets, I guess. But these are zaft people.
Yeah.
But that was a zaft monitoring base before, wasn't it? That was like... Also, it has to be a third faction. There's no way regular zaft people would be doing this.
Yeah, they're using it as a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that I don't think it's zaft. I know they're wearing zaft uniforms the same way that I don't think the people Neo's with are actually straight up Earth Alliance. I think it's probably, oh god, that's hard to figure out though. Because that would imply that there's a possibility of zaft people working with Earth Alliance people to do what? Fuck everybody?
I mean...
Because he's calling out names. It's like those names had to be people that died in a fight with Earth Alliance.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 2 extra factions now?
It could be, again, a Star Trek 5. Is that 6?
Yeah, but I mean, that would imply that both sides have those sides in them now. You know, it'd be like if the Klingons were, I guess technically there were. Well, because I don't typically my memory of Star Trek 6 doesn't typically associate Kling as working with that Starfleet Admiral. I guess they were, though.
Yeah.
They were.
And the Romulans were also part of it as well. Because they're the ones who brought everybody together. Because the Romulan ambassador is the one that also gets arrested. People tend to forget that, but yeah, he was part of the
No, I'm just mixing it together with not Search for Spock, the one with Spock's brother. Savik, or whatever his name was.
ミネルヴァの議長との連絡は本当に地球へ向かっているのか。回避の手立ては地球への警告はどうするのだ。
See? Yeah, it was the, hello.
Oh,
It's
so the
Talia.
captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the captain and the. Okay.
So I recognize that hair anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a zaft listening post. It was the council didn't know anything about it.
それはわかりません。だが動いているのです。それもかなりの速度で、最も危険な軌道を。
それはすでに本館でも確認いたしました。
しかし、なぜそんなことに？あれは100年の単位で安定軌道にあると言われていたはずのもので。
隕石の衝突か。
Yeah, I guess the only thing that makes sense is the undiscovered country route. We have bits of both factions working together to get the war going again.
落ちたらどうなるんだ？オーブ。いや、地球は。
あれだけの質量のものです。申し上げずとも、それは姫にもお分かりでしょう。原因の究明や回避手段の模索に今プラントも全力を挙げています。またもやのアクシデントで姫には大変申し訳ないのですが。
Well, I can assure you shooting at it for a week isn't going to do anything.
このミネルヴァにもユニウス7に向かうよう匿名を出しました。幸い位置も近いもので、姫にもどうかそれをご了承いただきたいと。
無論だ。これは私たちにとっても、いやむしろこちらにとっての重大事だぞ。私にも何かできることがあるのなら。
お気持ちはわかりますが、どうか落ち着いてください、姫。お力をお借りしたいことが。
So I asked you a long time ago to stop calling me princess.
難しくはありますが、お国元とも直接連絡の取れるよう試みてみます。出迎えの船とも早急に合流できるよう計らいますので。
It's alright. In a supreme irony, it turns out it's gonna hit Buenos Aires. Those goddamn bugs.
隕石でも当たったか、何かの影響で軌道がずれたか。地球への衝突コースだって本当なのか？
バートさんがそうだって。アーモリーでは強奪騒ぎだし、それもまだ片付いてないのに、今度はこれ。
Somebody wants to start a war. A war that won't stop until everybody's dead.
Yeah, it's a real row motivation.
Yeah.
Looks like my guy, he's dead, but I mean, the immortal thoughts of Rao, I guess. Pretty sure we 100% saw Rao disintegrate in a blast. Also, then you would just make a whole bunch of pieces that would hit the earth.
Yeah, but not any one piece would have the mass of the whole.
We don't know how big it is the problem. I keep saying I don't think it's the same as Island Iffish, but...
Well, they said the earth will be annihilated.
Hyperbole. Same problem with doing a death battle when you have the guy who... Oh, that he took the hit of like 10,000 supernovas. Hyperbole. Don't take it for granted what it really is.
不可抗力だろう。けど変なゴタゴタも綺麗になくなって案外楽かも。俺たちプラントには
People need to start closing doors.
お前たちはしょうがないだと、案外楽だと。これがどんな事態か、地球がどうなるか、どれだけの人間が死ぬことになるか、本当に分かって言ってるのか、お前たちは。
すいません。
やはりそういう考えなのか、お前たちザフトは。あれだけの戦争をして、あれだけの思いをして、やっとデュランダル議長の姿勢の下で変わったんじゃなかったのか。
よせよ、係。
別に本気で言ってたわけじゃないさ、ヨーランも。そんくらいのこともわかんないのかよ、あんたは。
なんだと？
かがり。
Oh no, Shin, don't be one of those guys.
ああ、
It's not what he said, it's what's in his heart.
この人偉いんです
Shut the fuck up, Shin.
オーブの代表でしたもんね。
お前！
いい加減にしろ、かがり。君はオーブがだいぶ嫌いなようだが、なぜなんだ？昔はオーブにいたという話だが、くだらない理由で関係ない代表にまで突っかかるというのなら、ただでは
Trivial?
くだらない。
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna get punched in the face after him.
関係ないってのも大間違いだね。俺の家族はアスカに殺されたんだ。国を信じて、あんたたちの理想とかってのは信じて、そして最後の最後にオノゴロで殺された。だから俺はあんたたちを信じない。オーブなんて国も信じない。そんなあんたたちの言う綺麗事を信じない。
In case you forgot.
この国の正義を貫くって、あんたたちだってあの時自分たちのその言葉で誰が死ぬことになるのかちゃんと考えたのかよ。
So I guess you forgot to keep translating for me.
何も分かってないようなやつが分かったようなこと言わないでほしいね。
Again, this is exactly what I said.
おい、シン。
That he would blame her dad for not surrendering on idealism alone for what happened. But then back to Legends of the Galactic Heroes.
さてと、とんでもない事態じゃの。まさに未曾有の危機。地球滅亡のシナリオですな。
書いた者がいるのかね。
それはファントムペインに調査を命じて戻らせました。一応。
Phantom Pain.
Also, did we like walk into Romefeller? What the hell's going on?
役に立つのかな。そんなものを調べて。
それを調べるんです。
しかしこの招集は何だ、ジブリール。まあ、大西洋連邦をはじめとする各国政府がよもやあれをあのまま落とすとも思ってはおらんが、一応避難や対策に忙しいのだぞ、みんな。
この度のことには正直申し上げて、私も大変ショックを。
Well, don't be wrong. You guys are on Earth too, it seems like.
まさかそんな、一体なぜ？まず思ったのはそんなことばかりでした。
前置きはいいよ、ジブリール。
いえ、ここが肝心なのです。
ん？
やがてこの事態、世界中の誰もがそう思うこととなるでしょう。ならば我々はそれに答えを与えてやらね
ば。Weird choice of lipstick.
プラントのデュランダルはすでに地球各国に警告を発し、回避、対応に自分たちも全力を挙げるとメッセージを送ってきました。
早い対応だったな。
Hey, it's my boy.
奴らも慌てていた。ならばこれは本当に自然現象ということかの。だがそれでは。
そんなことももうどうでもいいんですよ。
ほ
う。重要なのはこの災難の後、なぜこんなことにと嘆く民衆に我々が与えてやる答えの方でしょう。
And who are these people?
もうそんな先の算段か。
無論、原因が何であれ、あの無様でバカな塊が間もなく地球
I mean, is he lying?
我らの頭上に落ちてくる
That he doesn't know what caused it?
Yeah, I think he is lying.
Because it very much feels like these are the people who done it.
He's too ready to know what to do after the fact, too.
この屈辱はどうあっても晴らさねばなりますまい。誰に？当然、あんなものをどかどか
Yeah, okay, there we go.
コーディネーターどもにです。違いますか？
Even though I just started this whole conversation with the zaft just doing its best to help us.
これでは被る被害によっては戦争をするだけの体力すら残らぬぞ。
だから今日お集まりいただいたんです。
So he already knew
質
them.
問よろしいですが、その後には我々は一気に打って出ます。例のプランで。そのことだけは皆様にもご承知おきいただきたくてね。
なるほど。
強気だな。
コーディネーター憎しでかえって力が湧きますかな。民衆。
How convenient, huh?
残っていればね。
残りをまとめるんでしょ。憎しみという名の愛で。
みんなプランに依存がないようじゃの、ジブリール。
ありがとうございます。
では次は事態の後じゃ。
I'm with the guy in the back who thought he was just here to play a Metal Gear game. Phantom Pain.
しかしどれほどの被害になるのかね。
戦争はいいが、こういうのは困るね。どちらにせよ、青き正常なる世界のためにさ。
It's just that these guys don't look like anybody in the show so far.
Remember what he said, the last thing he said? This is what we need for a pure blue world. Blue cosmos, basically.
Blue lipstick?
No, that's what one of the old men was
No,
saying.
I'm just saying. Blue lipstick. It's all visuals.
何をしているのか、まだ何も連絡は受けていないが、だが月からでは船を出しても間に合わないか。あとは地表からミサイルで撃破を狙うしかないだろうな。だがそれでは表面を焼くばかりで。
Yeah, if only we hadn't forced them to use all their nukes, I guess.
ともあれ、
Boy, that sure blew up in their faces.
その未曾有の危機に我々もできるだけのことをせねばならん。この船の装備ではできることもそう多くはないかもしれないが、全力で事態に当たってくれ。はっ。
かがり。考えてもしょうがない、かがり。分かっていたことだろう。ああいう人もいるはずだって。
でもお父様のことあんな風に。
Oh, come on, fucking Kigali. This is the worst way she could take this, I feel like. She didn't consider what he had to go through at all. Here's a guy who's literally very, very angry about what happened, who has a point, and you're like, how dare you talk about my father that way?
きっと自分の気持ちでいっぱいで。君には分かってるだろう、かがり。
So that was him witnessing his mother's death and Nicole's death.
こうして改めて見るとでかいな。
当たり前だ。住んでるんだぞ俺たちは。同じような場所に。
それを比
べて今
回の仕事がどんだけ大事か改めて分かったって話だよ。
いいか、たっぷり時間があるわけじゃない。ミネルヴァも来る。手際よく動けよ。了解。
Yeah, I think he's gonna get killed.
One of these two got promoted way further than the other one did.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna get killed.
Nah, my boy is immortal, just like my other boy. I don't know, I figured Kigali wasn't going to be so self-centered about the insult.
I think it's more of, I'm gonna say that she has her own pain as well, which is what he was trying to tell him.
The problem is that she is a leader now. She's the leader of Orb, and she's not taking in literal people from Orbs. Disenfranchisement and pain.
She's human too. Well, she's a coordinator, but still.
Well, it's hard to tell. We don't actually know what she is.
なんだ。いや別に。気にするな。俺は気にしてない。お前の言ったことも正しい。輸入7まで1200。
Gotta love my zaft, boys. Got each other's backs. Oh, and Shin is clearly not in the wrong here.
どうしたのかね、アスラン。いや、アレックス君か。
無理を承知でお願いいたします。私にもモビルスーツをお貸しください。
確かに無理な話ね。今他国の民間人であるあなたにそんな許可が出せると思って？カナーバ前議長のせっかくの計らいを無駄にでもしたいの？
分かっています。でもこ
What does that mean?
ただ見ていることなどできません。使える機体があるなら。
I mean, remember he
is
is
he going by
representative of...
Alex because Eileen made him change his name?
いいだろう。私が許可しろ。議長権限の特例として。
No, she was just saying, are you putting former Councilman Canaver's efforts to waste? That's Eileen Canaver, the one we were talking about during the note section. She's not involved in any of this. So, was that the thing? Change your name? Is this that scenario?
Nani? なんだこれは死んだとどういうことだどこの機体だアンノウンです IFF 応答なし何
ここにザフトのモビルスーツとはどういうことですかね
さてもしかしたらこの騒動は気まぐれな神の手によるものではないのかも
So they are acting independently of one another.
スティングたちを出せ状況を見たい記録も取れるだけ取っておけよ
So I guess we got 4 factions now, 4 main factions. 5 main factions.
何すればいいのよ。
それはあいつも出るんだってさ。作業支援なら1機でも多い方がいいって。へ
え。モビルスーツには乗れるんだもんね。
あいつが
モビルスーツ発進1分前。到着後はジュール隊長の指示に従うよう言ってちょうだい。
ユニウス7で戦闘同母式
Commander Jewel.
モビルスーツです。
発進停止。状況変化。ユニウス7にてジュール隊がアンノウンと交戦中。
イザー君アンノウン
各機対モビルスーツ戦闘用に装備を変更してください。
さらにボギー1確認 B25 デルタ
あれが
どういうことだ
わかりません。しかし本艦の任務がジュール隊の支援であることに変わりなし。完走終了次第各機発進願います。
Yeah, the impulse shouldn't be affected by any of this. It's a variable. They could just launch another platform for it.
Yeah. I see. What? The first time I saw the red Luna, what's her name? Luna Maria's Saku. They put something in the back. I thought it was some other Saku, like try to push her, like get in there. Yeah, that part. You know, I thought that it was another Saku behind it, but it wasn't.
Splendor. That's the name I couldn't remember. So this is that argument you have with like magical girl anime, like shoot him when he's just the core fighter.
Laser barrel. Zaku, 発進する.
You know, I think the Earth is going to get nuked.
Well, I mean, it's going to get...
Which explains the images that we're going to see in the end. Which I always thought it was...
Yeah, no, that's why I felt real stupid when you pointed out that it was Janus 7, because I thought it, I thought it was the focusing thing for Jash and Du.
Well, there you go.
But very clear. Well, it's also in the opening. Because we see it in space in the opening, and it's looking exactly like it does on Earth. Although, pointedly, this doesn't look like the crater of a massive impact. I say that specifically because it very much seems like it's sea level.
I mean, the could be the shore. It looks like it impacted on the water.
Yeah, but it's not that far away. Like, I'd assume something that's I assume something that size would be over 6 mile wide crater, in which case it wouldn't be visible on the horizon. Although, never mind, that does actually look like it's beyond the horizon. It looks like it's rising up from behind the horizon's edge.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a hard tell. Also, don't know if the ending is supposed to be to scale. Could be artistically done.
Which is kind of the point, right?
それは次回機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー世界の終わる時漆黒の空駆け抜けのガイア
Gaia? Gaia's on the enemy team.
Remember, also Gaia means Earth.
Yeah, but it's also the name of one of the Gundams, and this is a character in the show. Nobody in the show has ever said Gaia. Like, none of the Planeteers have been here to talk about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said that's kind of the point. I was like thinking, no, not really, because if you remember, I brought this up many times. Yazik had this face scar for the longest time, even though they kept telling him in show, you could have that removed, you know. And he's like, no, I'm using it to remind myself of what I'm fighting for. Which was to kill Kira, by the way, if you forgot. He's kept the scar just to remind himself to kill Kira.
No, but I think the point of Destiny is that people cannot get over the problems because they can't see. They're so wrapped up in their own pain that they cannot see that they're hurting other people.
Sorry, for a moment, it took me a minute to wrap my head around the fact you're talking about the show Destiny, and you weren't about to talk about what Destiny was.
Oh. Which is why that conversation or that shouting match between Chin and let's mess up the name. Kigali was all about, right? Each one of them is wrapped up in their own pain and cannot see. And then that's what Arthur's trying to tell her. Like, listen. And we see Arthur's own images of his own pain, right? And yet he was willing to forgive.
I mean, it was the best part of the episode for me. The actual, when it actually blows up Shin and Kigali. Because, you know, at worst, Shin is defending someone who's being flippant about the destruction of Earth. Because he's like, you know, he obviously doesn't mean it. You know, I hate that current conversation that's going on literally in real life right now. But he doesn't mean the things he says. Look into his heart. Fuck off. At the same point, though, the self-centered nature of Kigali suddenly on display. You know, how could you say things about my dad? Your dad who blew himself up along with also the whole area of the country that this dude's family died in. So, you know, on idealism, you know, also, you think about it, the same thing that Blue Cosmos is fighting for. Idealism. Not a great idealism. Yeah, I mean, but still, it's idealism. It's not the idealism you want people to fight for, but it is in their side. So yeah, he's justifiably angry that your dad decided to fight a losing fight that we already knew that they knew was going to be a losing fight on the matter of principle, irregardless of who would get hurt. And he is one of those people that got hurt. So I feel like Shin is on the right side of this argument. Especially knowing after the fact that Gali goes back to her room and cries because someone insulted dear old dad.
Still her father, though.
Who gives a shit? You're the leader of a country. Imagine if Biden went home today and cried because someone said something mean about his mom. Just put it in real world parlance. Imagine Biden was 70 years younger. 70 years younger than he was. And president of the United States and cried at him.
Cried in private. I mean, he's crying in private. which is perfectly acceptable. About to say the loss of his son.
Well, here's that happened a while
which
back.
You could argue that was done because of wars that United States
the difference here is not crying at the loss of his son, and crying that somebody yelled at him about the deaths caused by his son.
Still could be something that could impact him.
Yeah, but here's the secondary difference here is that in the real world, there's not a God camera following you around where invisible people from a different universe are commenting about every aspect of your life. Actually, that was another anime from like 2 cycles back. If you've seen that one, it's one of the video game animes, but it's 2 people in the real world are watching it happen, and their comments are changing the world as it's happening. Yeah. I thought it was a real interesting concept, so it sticks in my head. I don't remember the name of it, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I have the point of view to look down on her, not because she's doing it in private, but that I'm watching it happen. I'm an audience member to it. If Athrun, came back and yelled at Shin, and he was like, do you know what that girl's been through? She went back and cried, that sort of thing. Put her shit out there, but we didn't see it, I would feel more empathetic, because it's not me watching her cry and not oh, my people, what my people have suffered, but in fact, how dare he talk about my dad, But coming at it from a different point of view of Athrun defending her would be different than me seeing her do it.
Yes.
I'm more empathetic to the people who have suffered than to the person who has a singular loss.
I mean, she suffered too, because it also was her country as well, that got destroyed.
Yeah, but you know what she's not crying for? Her country. She's crying about her dad.
People cry. It's easier to identify with things that are more personal to you.
Oh, God, I wish sometimes you would just come on board with me sometimes instead of making me out to be a monster.
I mean, I'm not making it.
No, you are. You're creating the argument that makes me a monster. I feel like the things unsaid remain unsaid until you dig them up into light. She is being selfish. She's being selfish when presented with the facts that her people have suffered because of what her father did while he was in command. And instead of owning up to the losses incurred by her people and trying to put herself in their position to say, how could I make this right? How can I make this better? She decides to wallow in self-pity over the loss of her own personal feelings, which is not what I would want from a leader, which makes me more inclined to feel for Shin and his loss, not to mention the fact we once again recap the bloodiness of the opening, which is pretty bad.
I think I don't put one over the other. I think both of them are suffering, and their suffering is valid.
Well, here's the thing. They're not real people, so I can weigh them against one another. These are hypotheticals, right? These are trolley problems, essentially. Well, I would, because once again...
I don't think it is a trolley problem, really.
It is. It's literally choose one. It's the trolley problem of choose one, in that the trolley problem is itself not real, so...
Yeah, but I have to accept the fact that her pain is somewhat lesser than his when each one of them is suffering from the effects of a horrible war in which both of them lose their parents. And so when he accuses her of not caring, especially because he singled out her dad, right? It's like, oh, it's your father's fault. Her defensiveness is like, but I lost my dad, right? That's the issue. The issue is
your dad
that
fucking made the choice. That's the thing. We believed in your dad, and your dad fucked us. Well, he didn't fuck us. He fucked all of my family. You could get them, the pieces of them, if you want.
The thing is that that's the issue. How do you overcome those personal sense of grief in order to, rise above them? Because that's the thing. And early on, the guy who was in charge of dropping this in on Earth, has pictures of his family. I'm gonna do this.
I mean, that's been the thing from season 1. Season 1, they're literally calling out the victims of Alaska as they attack Venezuela Venezuela. I'm sorry, I'm talking about genre now. Panama, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm still thinking about those massive Venezuelan crocodiles. But yeah, no, I mean that's always been the thing, because it always wraps right back around to how do you stop people from wanting their comeuppance, right? Not comeuppance, from getting revenge. How do you stop them from wanting to continue the cycle of violence? That's always been the main message of Seed, and it's never been answered. And instead of trying to, I don't know, figure out how utopia works, we're doubling down on coming back to the violence. In that, I feel like the show's message is we also don't have an answer.
I mean, they're escalating even more the violence, because in the last time they stopped the destruction of Earth and the plants, and now they're going to, not totally, probably not destroy the Earth, but certainly mess it up significantly. Well, and then the other side is also going, it's going to happen either way. So even if it stops, we got to blame them, and we're going to take this opportunity to kill them all, right? To restart the war, right? Well, that guy already knew that was going to happen.
I don't feel like it's the escalation. Sorry, I don't feel like the escalation is the point. The point being that we ended the war at the end of the first season. We got together. We did peace conferences. That's the realistic thing that we can try to do. One side sues for peace or something. We try to bring an end to this, and realistically, I feel like that's as far as they could figure out how to push this to the end. And they come back to the main thing that gets said by Waltfield, gets said by, again, I think his name is Azumi, that once you inflict a pain on somebody, it's really hard to push past that, especially if that person is unwilling to let it go. And that's the thing that never gets answered. How do you get past letting that go? Or how do you let that go? And now here we are, past the peace conference, the most realistic thing, and turns out people aren't going to let that go. And in fact, we just want the war to continue so that I have the field of operation to inflict that pain on more people, so I can feel better by making them feel bad for what they did to me. And also, Kigali's not letting it go.
Nobody, well,
she's she's talking the talk, but she's crying about her dad still.
Yeah. She's trying
clearly,
to.
I don't think we're going to get past this whole, I feel she's self-centered by not prioritizing the needs of her people when literally put in front of her. And the fact that you are taking a therapist route for some reason.
I think it's the only path that she has forward is to acknowledge her own pain and then get past it. Ignoring it won't do it, right? And in fact, she had that emergency meeting with Durando to try to stop all of this. Like she saw that this was, again, you're getting more weapons, you're getting more power, you're escalating. I know where this ends up. We got to put a stop to it, right? And he's like, oh, but we need the power because they have the power. We don't have the power. They're going to try to kill us like they tried the last time.
And as Durandal also points out, you're building your military bases up too. You're doing exactly the same thing. But again, as you just said, she's prioritizing her own well-being, or you say she needs to. And
to a degree.
Yeah. My point is that no, she needs to prioritize the needs of her people or step down and put somebody else in a position who can. We need somebody in the position who can see the change that needs to get made and affect it. Not somebody who needs to take time for themselves to get over the events of last war.
But the thing is, though, that experience is what could lead her to be the person that affects a change.
Not because if she has to get over her own shit first, though.
No, by getting over her own shit first, that's how she learns to be the person that needs to be.
Right, but she needs time to do that. And then the time that she needs to do that, she's not... What is she doing right now? One, she's on an unofficial mission, which means that nothing really is getting done here. And who's running stuff back at Orb while a giant thing is coming from the sky? All she's getting right now is pissing people off. By which I mean Shin.
Yeah.
And then other people are agreeing with Shin, which, again, rightfully so, I feel like.
Yeah, but then Shin did it because he was trying to defend a guy who was like, who cares if they die? That solves all of our problems.
Again, I feel like I said in the notes, Shin's bottling shit up, and then this was the opportunity to let it out because she is just blowing up on somebody, and then Shin has the same problem as Kigali, but he's voicing his concern to authority. He's speaking to authority about what the problem is, and then she takes it personally as an assault against her father, rather than, I should take notes about what the people of Orb might be thinking.
Oh, he's no longer in Orb anyway. So
right, but he does represent... We had a conversation during episode 3's notes about the facet of all these Orb refugees going to the Earth Alliance, going to Zaft, and they do still represent the thoughts of the people, because not all of them stayed in Zaft, or, again, forced Operation Paperclip is, I think, what I was talking about. People with skills and information may have been forced to stay in these places. Not saying, I think in not the case Shin of isn't, but I'm talking about the fact that Orb is the original designer of the Gundams. Zaft wanted to reverse engineer the shit. They may have caused the people who had that kind of information or incentivized them to stay. We don't know. It's just an offhand comment that I focused on from Durandal's side, and we have to believe that Earth Alliance probably did the same thing. But again, Shin is a refugee from Orb that decided to repatronize themselves elsewhere. But he's still... Whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And his views have to, at least in some percentage, represent the views of other Orb refugees that went through the same thing.
I mean, those who decided to stay in with the plants and side with Zaft, so...
Well, no, he could still represent the same opinions of people that did go back to Orb.
But if you feel that way about the leadership of Orb, why would you go back to Orb?
Maybe it's the only place you have left to go. Maybe you didn't have any skills valuable to Zaft, and Zaft didn't want you.
So they got kicked out, basically.
Yeah, refugees don't always get to stay in the countries that they... Sorry, refuge was the only one. Yeah, refugees don't always get to stay.
Which makes Chairman Durandal's statement that more, shall we say, cynical. Like, we took them in. Yeah, and you only took the ones that you could exploit, and the only ones you kicked out.
Yeah, no, that's the evil nature of I thought the comment was at its base. Again, I basically assumed... I believe the other part of the comment that I made back in the episode 3 notes was the fact that Orb is comprised of both naturals and coordinators, and during the time the refugees would have been coming to Zaft was when Patrick was in charge, when Patrick wanted to kill all naturals. So what happened to the Orb naturals that went to Zaft? He was literally about to kill the entire planet of Earth with a super weapon. You don't think he would have just been, put them in that room, open the airlock? Patrick was typed a very specific way, and I feel like we all know what I'm talking about. So I'm pretty sure there was a lot of sinister shit going on. So I'm not... That's what I was trying to indicate when I was saying it the first time in my first section of notes.
Yeah. But I think they're setting up Shin to have a...
confrontation with Kira.
No, with Stella.
No, he's going to fall in love with Stella. I don't know why. It's in the opening. So I had to believe. Also, I'm pretty sure if we rewatch next episode, we watch the ending, let's see if Shin and Stella are next to each other. That's usually the spoilers of the opening and ending, but I'm pretty sure it's Kira and Shin in the opening are doing the face-off sort of thing.
Or they do the thing where they did with Kira and what's her name with
Lacus.
Frau? No, not Lacus. Frau. Was that
Kira never did anything. Frau's boyfriend was told he dies to a shield to the face.
Like Kira hooked up with Frau.
Nope.
And who did he hook up with?
Also, Frau is from Universal Century. So you're talking about Ha, and again, Ha doesn't have the same relationship that Amuro and Frau do. Ha is just a friend of Kira's from back at the school. Her boyfriend was Toll, and Toll gets killed, and then she, I don't know, it looks like she was going to hook up with Durka, but it seems like it's not the case. Durka's off in the military still.
Okay, so who did Kira have sex with?
Flay.
That was what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Ha didn't make any sense. I don't know what you were talking about.
You're talking about Flay. It could be a situation where they do hook up or they try to, and then she gets killed.
Kira's not even in the show yet, so
yeah.
And the opening shows.
But I'm not talking about Kira. I'm talking about Shin and Stella.
Yeah, that's what I said. Shin and Stella are going to hook up. I mean, not hook up. They're going to be together.
Yeah, they could do last minute switcheroo and have her. Oh, we're hooking up, and then they killed her.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any evidence to say that they don't like. The show kills people. Yeah. I think it's very obvious. The show kills people. It just doesn't feel that way. It feels like they're building something. Then again, they were building something with Flay. Like I said, I had no evidence to say that you're wrong. I just don't get that gut feeling. And my gut feeling has been right about Macross all this time. I go with my gut. Also, greater reaction if I go with my gut and my gut's wrong, because that's really going to be like an, oh no! I don't typically do those reactions. I'm stone-faced.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I guess you don't have any other thoughts then.
No.
All right, well, I guess that's it for this episode. So once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stone-Faced Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?